G'day guys, thanks for joining us. Today my guest is Craig Simpson, and I've got to say I am so excited for this one. Craig is a bit of a genius, and not just that, he has got a wonderful way of explaining his thinking, and he has this really interesting blend of analytical thinking and data-driven type work alongside a real sales streak and innovation way of working. So he's put that to great effect. And in fact, I was talking to Craig just before we went live, and he has built a customer base 9 times. So one of the things he does particularly well, and I'm sure we'll delve into today, is that sales pipeline. Alongside that, and something that he is currently running is decision science. And I'll leave Craig to tell you a little bit more about exactly what he does with that. But I think for the current environment where there's massive uncertainty, being able to actually make good decisions and to work out how much you need to know and then what you can do with it is a really critical piece to this. But I'd love to find out a little bit more. Craig, I think you were saying you've got 3 businesses on the go at the moment.
Yes. Well, I had 4, but at the moment I've got a customer science business, which is a pure data science. It's that blended data science and customer analytics. And without doubt, we'd be the best in the market at that. And I have a off-grid solar business because I'm a bit of an off-grid prepper myself. And I started that business 2 years ago, and you can imagine right now it's booming. It's doing very well. And I have a blockchain business. I had a 4th that I was running, which was doing analytics in the tourism industry, but we're going to shut that down pretty quick at the moment, and we'll fire that back up when that industry comes back again. And there's probably some learnings there about how to keep your business quite nimble so that if the market changes on you quickly, you can shut them down quickly. Because I've had so many businesses and started them up and shut them down, I have got them geared up so they're not that difficult. And we just blended some of those people back into my other businesses. So
when did you, if you don't mind, this is like that tourism sector, that was almost the canary in the coal mine as far as the real impact of the coronavirus epidemic. When did you first start to see that the old canary was not cheaping so well?
It felt like nobody was interested for the first time in a long time just before Christmas. People used to be really interested. But January, we had people just cancelling their subscriptions to that service, and it just died over January, Feb. So you're right. We could see pretty quick. So so that business. So I had cloud hosted the analytics and all that stuff. So we've shut all that down until that industry comes back again, because they haven't got a cent. Yeah.
So what do you mean? You said nimble. What does that mean?
So, well, you can rent big offices, you can hire a lot of people, and you can buy a lot of equipment. What I've learned through failures and some costly failures is that you want to have yourself set up a little bit. So I now have I don't have an employee on the payroll. All of my employees have always been contractors, and that has a cost, I know, but it does give you agility. And everything in the cloud, and really keep your business to a point where you're not signing long-term contracts, and that if you need to change or you need to merge it or you need to, in this case, shut it down, the business is agile enough that you can achieve that fairly quickly without burning through your savings and bringing yourself down. Because I've started a lot of businesses and I've closed down a bunch of them, and you learn a lot about how to structure a business when you have to close it down. And that's that fail fast thing that they always talk about with entrepreneurs. And I think in my early days, I didn't fail fast enough. So, yeah.
I'm curious, what is the decision-making process to continue with something or shut it down?
This is an argument that entrepreneurs have constantly, right? Which is, when people tell you you've got a dumb idea, the great entrepreneurs carry on regardless. When people say there's no market, they carry on regardless. And that's a strength for an entrepreneur. However, there's a point at which some entrepreneurs lose everything, their house and their parents' house and their family's money, because they don't know when there's a point at which your timing hasn't been right, or you haven't got the right product for the right market at the right time, the product market fit. Sometimes entrepreneurs work too hard because they believe in it too much, and you burn through all your money and then suddenly realize it's no good. But you could have done that 6 months ago, shut it down, taken your learnings and looked to see where there was another market that you might have better fit and start again. And I lost a lot of money as a young man because I didn't know when to do that.
Yeah. So, well, I guess for a lot of people tuning in that follow me, it's real estate industry. And so the real estate industry at the moment is facing a whole lot of uncertainty because the handbrake's been pulled on big time in terms of just actual logistical restrictions. No purchaser pre-inspections have been possible, almost a month now. And the question mark that I think everyone has is what will this do in terms of price? But for salespeople, I feel the real question that needs to be asked is what will this do in terms of volume? Because it's the volume of transactions that sales businesses are dependent on. And there's a couple of pieces to this. So one is, how do we help our customers and clients to make good decisions rather than sitting in uncertainty? And how, as a salesperson, and you've been an expert in sales in so many different businesses, how do we create a really solid pipeline so that actually it doesn't matter if the industry is down, we're up? And these are two parts where I think you've got huge insights to add, and I'm really keen to get those. So would you be able to tell me a little bit about decision latency? Because to me, that's really, this exists in any environment. There's always things happening and there's decision latency. And for those who are going, well, what's decision latency? Perhaps you could explain it. I've got an understanding of it, but you explain it so well. And maybe we can go a little bit further than that in terms of how do we actually move from a place of being stuck to making quality decisions. So Craig, tell me a bit more. What exactly is decision latency?
Yeah, so I learned decision latency by reading a book on military tactics. And it's a problem in the army. And you know me, I like a good story. One of the best stories around decision latency was during the Second World War in Hawaii. And there was a young radar operator sitting at his radar desk, and he sees a blip on the radar, and he turns to his lieutenant and goes, I see some planes on the radar. And so the lieutenant looks over and goes, well, there's supposed to be some B-52s coming back from California, so it's probably those. And so they go, okay, and they don't pay any attention to it. And then he goes, I don't know, this doesn't quite look like, it feels like they're going at a different speed, they're not working right. Lieutenant goes, all right, well, I'll ring the base. So he rings the base and rings in, and he gets a guy that's not really that interested, and the guy on the base goes, no, there's planes coming in, there's no reason to panic, don't worry about it. So they hang up. And again, this young guy goes, no, I'm convinced. So he rings the guy again. This goes on 4 times, right? Until finally the data that's in the radar is indisputably more than 5 B-52 bombers coming in from California, right? It's coming at the wrong angle, wrong speed. And the problem with that was that by the time they realized that they were enemy aircraft, they couldn't actually get their own aircraft on the ground. And 80% of the aircraft at Pearl Harbor, the fighter planes in Pearl Harbor, were destroyed on the runway. And the few that got in the air were completely outnumbered. And so the US military looked at this and went, what went wrong? And if you take it to, say, a radar operator now in a modern warship out at sea, and he sees a blip on the radar, when an event happens in the military, they say that there's a cost of decision latency. So basically, if you have 2 axes on a graph and you have value on I can't remember what axis that is, and on the other axis you have time, when the event happens, the value of that information, when you see that information, falls over time until it falls to nearly 0. Now, it never falls to 0 because you can always use that information in a historic context, right? But it falls quite dramatically. The sooner you act on the information, the higher the value of that information. So you see a blip on a radar, you think it's incoming aircraft. If you're sitting in a warship in the middle of the Pacific in the US, that could be an incoming missile. If you take 5 minutes to work out what that is, then you're destroyed, right? It comes into the side of your warship and you'll die. So they can't afford any latency. It's the same out on the battlefield. And so there's 3 steps to decision latency. The first one is capture latency. How long does it take to capture the information into a form of which it is legible? And that has a bit of latency, and so the value falls until you get it to that point. And then there's the analysis latency. That's the time it takes to decide what you think of that information. So now the information's quality and capture. Now you've got to interpret what you're looking at. Is it a B-52 bomber, or is it a swarm of Zeros coming from Japan, right? And then the last one is the decision latency. And so the first 2 are very mechanical and they're very standard operating procedure. Decision latency was the bit that the Army had the most problem with. And in Pearl Harbor, the biggest problem was the actual decision latency, meaning who was authorized to make a decision to scramble aircraft and why didn't they make that decision? And so that's called the decision latency. And if you overlay that over a modern business, and a modern business says there's something changing in our business, if you are getting weekly updates or weekly sales updates or weekly information about your market, right now, it's too slow. So you've got a capture latency that's reducing the value of the data. And then when you get data, is it in a form that's easy for you to read? Which means, is it a spreadsheet of a whole bunch of numbers, or is it a pretty graph that actually compares it to last year, or compares it to last period, or compares it to something relevant, so that you can find the outliers in the data instantly, so that you don't have an analysis latency? Do that. And then, of course, the decision point latency, businesses get this wrong because they don't know what standard operating procedures is. If this happens, we do this. If we see this, we do that. Quite often they pontificate and have these big meetings and decide what to do. And in some businesses, like quick service restaurants and others, gosh, if you take a week to make a decision, your competitor's eating your lunch. So that's decision latency. I get up on the whiteboard in board meetings and boardrooms, and I whiteboard this out and I tell the story about Pearl Harbor, and the senior leadership teams of these businesses go, love it, right? Because it's the first time you could articulate what the core problem was as to why they're always late to an opportunity. And this is why it's late to an opportunity. On the battlefield, people die. Yeah. In business or in your own world, you just miss out. Someone beats you to it. Right. That's just what happens. The same in sales. If you can have decision latency in sales, if you don't know your market, you don't know how to read your market, and you don't know what to do once you've got that information, another salesman will eat your lunch. Yeah. Simple as that.
And I feel like when this relates to the real estate industry, and in particular the real estate sales side of things, it's actually about us helping our customers understand their own, value of information curve that you're talking about, where we have information that we can help people to interpret. So we've already got information. If we're passing that to our clients, so they've got that same information, and we help them to make a clear analysis of it, people can still get stuck in that decision latency, but it's not about us telling them what that is. They have to make their own decisions. You're talking a little bit about that challenge where the decision latency is who's making this decision. Well, I think something that's really important for salespeople to remember is actually, you don't need to worry. It's not your decision. You just get to help them with whatever decision they choose to make. If you look at the data and it's not 100% clear what is going to happen, but they know that by doing nothing, they get obliterated, well, the great news is it's their decision to make. But you have to help them realize that the value of the information they're receiving is going down rapidly. Yeah. And so the ability to help to make it a quicker decision off the information before the value of the information of waiting for more information has declined further. Can you give any insight into that a little bit? Because there is probably a time when you do want to wait for more information. And it seems like it's a really dangerous place where, for example, in the analogy you gave of Pearl Harbor, there was information on the radar at the beginning, but to the eye of the operator, he goes, this doesn't look normal.
Yeah.
But to anyone else who was looking at it, quick glance, no, not going to worry. But then it was kind of a case of, maybe this, what do we need to do? But there was a time when the time it would have taken to scramble the planes and get them up into the air, there would have been a time when the cost of scrambling the planes was lower than the cost of not doing anything.
Yeah.
How do we work that out, and how do we help our clients and customers to work that out?
Yeah, and you've got to look at that decision latency in reverse. If in the sense that if this is an important point, if that radar operator was allowed to scramble a whole bunch of aeroplanes with an enormous cost in fuel and so on, and it turned out to be 5 B-52 bombers, there's a lot of people getting a lot of trouble with those sorts of mistakes, right? So it's an interesting time. I have done not a single piece of selling, even though 2 of my businesses are tanking when it, their revenues are falling like a stone, right? And my natural inclination in every bit of my history is to just hustle, right? Go out there, really plan, get real smart, use all of my skills and hustle. And it's killing me right now to not do that. And I'm not doing that because I'm wise. I've got a few gray hairs, and I know that nobody wants to hear from you just yet. Yeah. And you and I both know selling is not about having lots of time. Selling is about having lots of energy. And I think that because you've got all day, you've got 12 hours to sell, but you can't sell for 12 hours. You just can't. So you've got to conserve your energy. So I could spin my wheels right now. I could spin my wheels trying to sell to people that'll probably just get irritated hearing from me because they're in a world of panic. So it's been hard for me. So I've come up with a plan of how I'm going to do it. And you touched on it earlier, which was 9 times I've built a customer base. So my very first business when I was 20, I built a customer base from scratch and made a lot of mistakes in the sales context in doing that. And then I've worked for a number of companies. 5 years ago, I was hired by Spark Ventures for their new data science business, Curious. It's now a couple of hundred employees in there, but I was employee number 1, right? I had to build that business from scratch for Spark inside their new ventures arm. I've started my own businesses, and like I told you now, I had 4, shut one down. I've got 3 currently running, and you have to start a new business. And this is something I know about, and I've probably got much, much better at it over time. So this is what I plan to do. I have a business right now called Decisive. It focuses on customer science. So it's data science and customer analytics joined together, customer science. And we were selling to Air New Zealand and to a whole bunch of businesses now that are gone, right? They're no longer there. And so I need a new customer base. And it feels weird because I need to start from scratch again and find some new customers because a lot of my customers are not going to be there. So how am I going to do this? I think there's a 3-step plan to building leads. I'm only talking about leads at the moment because we all know if we get leads, there's plenty of literature out there that will teach you how to work a lead right through into a closed deal. But you want more leads. We all want more leads. And right now, at the end of this lockdown, we're going to need new leads. So the first 2 steps are understand your market and understand your product. Now, in different times, I've done them in different ways around. Sometimes I have a product and it's well defined. So I study that product and then I go and understand who best fits that product. So I have a solar business, an off-grid solar business. It's really easy to define who wants that. People with batches and lifestyle blocks and preppers and people. We can find those customers and do it. So for this new business that I've got now, this customer science business, I'm going the other way around. I've gone, what are small to medium businesses? What are people going to need after this lockdown? What are they going to need? What do they want to know? And what they want to know is they want to know how their market has changed. What's changed in the market? We can use analytics. I can get credit card data. I can get FPOS card data. I can get location data. I can download a whole bunch of data from sources, and we can compare pre-lockdown to post-lockdown and find out where their customers are going, where their market's gone, what their competitors are doing. So I've designed this product called called market intelligence, which will help us define the market. So I go, okay, I have that, and I want to help a whole heap of people when they come out of lockdown to just find out where their new customers are, from plumbers to whoever's out there, how they can find it. And then I'm going to define who buys it. In my case, I've decided that it's businesses that turn over 50 million. So I looked at, there's probably 900 of those businesses. So then I went, well, I'll just do Auckland because I won't be able to travel. So how many of them are in Auckland? What do they look like? Do I know who are in those businesses? Oh yeah, I can find the chief executive of those businesses. I got on LinkedIn. So I've built myself a database of about 2,000 people that I think I'm going to want to talk to, right? And then I went, how many of those am I already linked to? How many do I have connections to? How many? I know. And then I went, I have a product. I now have a market. And then step 3 is, what's my go-to-market? How am I going to go to market? And in the past, I've hustled. In the past, I wouldn't say I've cold called that often in recent years because I have a big network now. So cold calling is not something I've had to do. But I've done warm calling. I feel now I might do less warm calling. And why? Because we know our inboxes are going to be filled with junk. Everybody's going to want our attention in a couple of weeks. I think we're going to get overwhelmed with all these businesses cold calling us or warm calling us, and it's going to be crazy. I'm thinking about a go-to-market that might be a bit better than that. And so what I'm thinking is people are going to want I want to pitch myself as a consultant, as an expert, as somebody that can give you advice in these uncertain times, and build my profile and be in front of them. Newsletters, profiles like what you're doing on Facebook, on LinkedIn, flyers in their letterboxes. But for me, I wouldn't do flyers in their letterboxes. They'll be non-selling reach outs, like, how you going, mate? I know things have changed. How you going? Without a sales pitch, without a call to action. I think what I want to do is position myself as I'm in my 50s now. I've got experience. I'm an entrepreneur. I've started a lot of businesses, shut down a lot of businesses. You might not have the experience I have. Here's uncertain times. If you want to chat. And that's my go-to-market. And I'm going to do that. It's going to be a series of videos. It's going to be a series of blog posts and a series of written things and emails and catch-ups. I would normally go, mate, yeah, ready for a coffee? Yeah, let's go for a coffee. And I'd have a chat with a bunch of people. I'm not sure I'm going to even have to do coffee. So there's those 3 steps. Understand your market, understand your product, and understand your go-to-market. I'm only talking about leads right now, but that, yeah. And I've done this 9 times. But weirdly enough, even though I've done it 9 times, this 10 times going to be completely different. I can't reuse a heap of things, but I can reuse my expertise. And what do I want? I don't want my inbox filled with people reaching out for a cold call. I don't want my people phoning me for a cold call. I really don't. Yeah, what I want you to do is give me information and give me a reason for why I want to work with you and why you're interesting and why you're good. And then I'll go, you know what? David, he's got some, I'll reach out to David because I think I'm ready now to sell. I'm ready now to buy, or I'm interested in how the market's going. Who do I know that's probably got a good handle? And so I want to do the same with okay, Craig, mate, he knows how to sell. He's a data scientist. He's got analytics. If our customer base is changing, who else would you call but Craig? He's got a real good handle on it because he's that mix of a data scientist and a salesman. So yeah, that's my.
Totally. As you're talking about this and I guess outlining those principles, firstly, understanding and defining the market, understanding what your product is, and then being very clear about how you go to market. In terms of that, creating a bit of a sales funnel and a pipeline, it's solid advice. In fact, if I'm interpreting this a little bit, for example, with real estate sales, like I'm not selling at the moment, but if I was to go, you know what, things have changed, I'm going to get it back into the marketplace, 100%, I would define where are my customers going to come from. And the great thing about real estate is that there's a really easy metric with that. Addresses. You just go, sweet, West End. There's 750 houses in West End, and I am going to become their go-to person. How am I going to do that? Right, well, I'm going to literally database them so that I get as much information as I can find publicly and then work out where the gaps are. So I can either buy the information, or when it's appropriate, I can go literally out on the door and knock on the door and say, I live here, and I can give you the best information about what's happening street specific with real estate. You just know what's going to happen next.
Yeah.
The rest of the information, and then I can continue to go to market. You're talking about that product. Well, in real estate, and this is the same for you actually, Craig. So I love the parallel here. We are the product. We're not selling houses, we're selling ourselves. And actually, when a client decides to list their property, I think, yes, they look at brand. For sure, there are some great, and I'm talking about corporate brands, but they choose the salesperson because they know that's what they really buy. The salesperson positioning them in the market and providing quality information to help them make a quality decision. And so the opportunity there with your go-to-market, and you're talking a little bit about this thought leadership and the way that you position yourself as a consultant, that opportunity is 100% there. And in fact, in my current business, that's what I'm doing. That is literally, I thought, right, lockdown, it's harder for me to go out and train in the rooms. I'm not speaking at a conference next week. So, hey, I'm going to link up with really interesting people, pick their brains on this, and at the same token, position myself in a thought leadership position. We've got the experience to help people with that. But the message that I'm literally saying to you as a salesperson, you can do the same thing for your market. So using that West End analogy, you know what happens. If you're watching the websites and you see the new listing come up, or your office has just had the paperwork come through for something that's not even yet on the internet live, you can still contact the people that you know in that street and say, hey, thought to let you know ahead of the curve. We've just listed one down the street. I want to let you know before the signboard went up. Yeah. I wonder if you or someone you know is interested in moving in the area. And all of a sudden, you're providing them information that is super relevant and super timely, and you're positioning yourself as the person to go to when they need you.
Yeah. And what's changed? And what's changed for me? I don't think I can go. I can go and reach out to a CEO I know and go, you got time for a coffee? Let's catch up for a coffee, and then me sort of find out what his challenges are. I can't do that, because I think people are not going to want to go for coffees, right? And I think the same problem exists for real estate. You know how you go and knock on doors and say, hey, I'm your local real estate agent? People are going to want that, eh? Yeah, they're not going to be keen, right? You might actually burn them, right? But what they're going to want to know is what's changed. What's changed? And so I'm going to focus on what's changed. And I'm thinking about, in situation real estate agent, if you're living in a street and you're thinking, oh, I've lost my job, do I sell my house, or am I going to lose my shirt, or are prices staying firm? Wouldn't it be great if in your letterbox was a little note saying, this is what I think is happening in this neighborhood. This is what it looks like. It looks like prices aren't changing much, but they might turn over more as people are looking to downsize or change their lifestyle because their jobs changed, so they've had to go somewhere else. And then at the bottom of that note, you have, here's my email address. Drop me an email and I'll send you this information as often as I get it. When I think that things are changing in our local market, I'll tell you. And that might be the way to do it. And don't even ask for the sale. Just say, I'm keeping dropping the information. And then before you know it, they go, you know what? We probably don't need this expensive house now that I have an uncertain future. Why don't we move somewhere cheaper? Who's that guy that keeps sending us messages about the market? Oh, why don't we go to her? She's got a pretty good handle on what's going on, right? Boom. I think that's how I'm trying to get myself set up, is go, look at me. I've done this multiple times. If you need to know more about your market and you need to get data and analytics on your market, don't hire an analytics firm. Hire me. Why? Because I can do all the analytics everyone else can do. However, I've got a better idea of selling and creating a new market than anybody else that you'll deal with. I am your expert. So I'm the best analytics company you could hire because I'm that perfect blend. That's how I need to position myself. And I think if you're a real estate agent, find out what your unique selling point is. And it's not that different, I don't think.
Well, I'll tell you what is interesting is, and I'm connected to thousands of real estate agents, but I've had very few that actually send me really relevant information about a certain marketplace. There are a couple that spring to mind, but out of all of the opportunities that are there, not much comes through that's actually really hyper relevant. And people will go to the Herald or they'll go to OneRoof if they want general market information. But I would love to know what's happening in Moonshine Valley Road. Yeah. Or I'd like to know what's happening on College Street. And there's a huge opportunity there to fairly easily create very relevant information when you have a clearly defined market. So I think that's a huge lesson. If it's okay, I'd love to just go back a little bit. We were talking about the, I guess, the cost of decision latency and also the value of information. And in your scenario where you're looking at, selling, for example, this analytics and decision science type product,
yes,
your feeling is at the moment, whilst everything is massively uncertain, is, all right, I'm going to position myself so they'll reach out to me. In the real estate scenario, I think that the parallel is true, but there's actually a pipeline of people that a lot of salespeople already have. These are either the people they've already sold to that are kind of now looking at you as a friend in the business. There are the existing clientele. They've already got them on the market, or they're the people that have kind of flagged as coming to market in the coming months. And I think the opportunity with these people is not to call up and say, hey, have you had any thoughts of selling? But it's actually to say, hey, we talked a little while back and you mentioned that you might be looking at a move coming into spring. Things have changed in the marketplace. Would you like to discuss what's happening so you can make a better decision? And I think that is a huge value. But how do you actually help people that are maybe emotionally hijacked at the moment, where the reality is they need to make a logical, rational decision, but they're stuck in the valley of indecision?
Yeah, very good. I get this. So it's the same when I'm selling a service to a business, is that they can't buy my service until they believe that there's a good return on what I'm giving them, right? So sales 101. Okay, let me tell another story, right? That this is a fictional story, but we got Craig Simpson. He's a car salesman on a car yard, right? And Sarah walks in, and Sarah's a young woman, and she walks in, and Sarah goes, "I'm looking to buy a car." Yeah, and Craig goes, "I tell you what, let me show you some cars. I've got some beautiful cars that will suit you perfectly. I've got this beautiful red convertible car. Come and have a look. Come and check it out." She goes, "All right," go checks it out and stuff. And he goes, "I got this one over here," and it walks around and shows her everything he's got. Not everything, but what he thinks are the best cars. And she walks off the car yard and goes, "Thank you very much." Never sees her again. Right? Next day. So she walks onto another yard, right? David is there. David Palfreyman, he's a car salesman. She walks onto David's yard.
Shark in the ocean, mate.
and she goes to David, "I'm looking to buy a car." And David goes, "What type of car are you looking for?" She goes, "I'm actually looking for an SUV." He goes, "Why do you need an SUV? You don't look like the type to drive an SUV." She goes, "Well, I'm pregnant and I'm going to need something that's a little bit more useful." And he goes, "I guess you're looking for something that's safe and so on." She goes, "Yeah, I'm looking for economy." She goes, "I'm looking for different things than what we want." And he goes, "What else would you like?" And she goes, "I like leather." And David spends a good 5 minutes just really understanding what her passions are. And he goes, "You know what? I don't have a car on the yard that suits that, but I know where there is one. Let me ring somebody. I'll do a deal with him, get the car over here for tomorrow. You come and check it out. I got the perfect car." She comes back the next day. Lo and behold, David's got the perfect car. David gets the sale. How did he get the sale? Because he didn't just start selling from the moment he met her. He actually sat down and goes, "Where are you right now? Where are you in your life? Where are you in your decision making? What do you need?" And he understood what her decision making was and why she was making those decisions. And in fact, probably led her to some decision making she didn't know she was ready to make, right? So what is your need? How is that need quantified? I do that with customers all the time. Customer goes, "I need more customers." Great. But why? Well, because our market's changed. How much has it changed? Who have you lost? Yeah. Well, who do you think you need to gain? Oh, we think we need to gain these businesses. What do you know about those businesses? Nothing. So what you're actually saying to me is you don't need more customers. You need to know more about this market that you think that you need to go after. Yes. Okay, I can build you a solution for that. So it's that same thing about the coming to buy the car. It's so easy when you're a salesman to just start pitching, eh? but I've got to hold back. And now that I've been selling for a long time, sometimes it takes me a little while to actually get into the zone of pitching. But when I'm ready to pitch, I go, you told me you wanted this. And they go, yes. You told me you needed this. Yeah. You told me that if you could raise your customer base by another 8,000 customers in the next 6 months, you'd buy it. I showed you a solution which would give you 10,000 customers. Yes. So when are we ready to start this deal? You know, the close just plays out on its own, you know, and he goes, yeah, you've laid it out.
For that close to happen, you have to first understood them.
Yeah.
And I think that's a huge message. People buy for their reasons, not yours.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. And so I think in this market, it's a great time to really understand the people around you. And what I might do and what I'm going to do is I'm going to tell a lot of my close network. I've got 5,000 people in my contact list, right? You know, I don't know all of them personally, but I've done business with them over the years, and some of them moved in different positions. But there's probably a core of about 800 or 900 in there, and there's probably a core of about 100 that I've done business with recently. And those 100, or maybe there's 500, I'll start telling them about the conversations I'm having with the other, you know, the others in that group. Hey, look, I was just talking to these guys and they think this, and I was talking to these guys. And maybe I'll summarize it and I'll go, good, I'm getting a feel from the market for Craig, because Craig's actually a little bit more connected than I am. And I just wonder if in real estate, the same thing plays out, right? But because you're talking to a lot of vendors, then maybe you know more about the feeling in their neighborhood than they do. Yeah. And so ask them, you know, are you ready to sell? And this is what I think the feeling is, that the prices are staying solid, but the turnover is going to increase. And go, oh, really? Really? Tell me more. Well, look, I haven't sold anything yet, but this is what I'm hearing. Yeah. Actual anecdotal evidence. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to start telling them about how other businesses are faring. And if other businesses are doing well, I'm going to tell them and then go, okay, well, we just got to get out there and really work, because guys are making it work. We're not. So
I think the weird thing about real estate, for example, is actually the advantages there when you're acting counter-cyclically. So for a vendor, putting your house in the market in isolation rather than putting it in the market in competition is a huge advantage. Because if you've got a buyer pool, for example, I was speaking with an office yesterday, and we worked out that they'd had, I think, 59 inquiries on property in the last week. And this is the sort of information that you can provide when you're speaking with the vendor, because the seller's sitting there, for example, if you were thinking about, I wonder if I should come to market or not, the thing that might hold you back is this fear of, oh my gosh, has the market just disappeared overnight? But by being able to provide some concrete, and this is similar to, like, for example, that anecdotal evidence that you're talking about, you would be able to say, for example, well, interestingly enough, we actually had huge inquiry. Last week, we had 59 buyers that are wanting to purchase. And there's not much new market. There's not much new stock coming to the market, because I've been talking to quite a few other vendors, and they're telling me that they're just going to wait and see. So there's a huge opportunity for you to actually be on the market when there's less other property competing for those same buyers, which means there are more buyers competing for your property.
Yeah. And that's how I'm going to try and play it, is be a little bit more of a, the overplayed term, trusted advisor, right? I'm not that comfortable with that term, but an expert. I think I've got enough expertise. And I think most people, if they think it through, they have an expertise that is unique, that somebody else doesn't have. Yeah, like, you know your market, you know your street, or you know your demographic even. Like, you might be in a certain demographic. There is something that you've got that what you could position yourself. The thing is, we all know in selling, what you need to be is you need to be connected to the right person at the right time, eh? So when they're ready. So we're going to have to up our activity, but not cold call activity. I just think cold call activity, you're going to get lost in the noise. Yeah. You're really lost in the noise. I think I'm going to get lost in the noise. I'm not going to send out a whole bunch of emails saying, hey, I got this new product. If you're keen, buy it. I ain't going to do that, because that email will get delete. They'll get 20 like that in their inbox in the morning. Go delete.
But it's not that it's not that you're not going to continue to reach out or to be visible. It's just that rather than trying to sell something off the bat, You're providing some information, some insight.
Yeah, I want to be the one person. And it might be that, so get creative. I'm really good at creative emails, right? I do a lot of creative emails. And I'll say something inflammatory in the email, right? That is obviously going to make them go, what? Like, I think you've got a problem brewing in your business, right? Yeah, that stuff. I've done it before. I'm not sure I'll do it now, but I've done it.
I want to come to your creative emails because I think this is one of your real strengths. Like, you've got this great analytical mind, but you're also hugely creative and quite, as you say, a little bit inflammatory. Like, you know how to spark the debate. But let's just recap on something, because I think you told the story about the car salesman and the difference. And I think that's a really important point. Get curious, go a little bit deeper. When somebody tells you something, why? And then use the other conversations that you've been having with other people to actually be able to share some insights about others that person may not otherwise have. And then you can use a combination of what you understand about that person to actually summarize and then close, not for your reasons, but for theirs, to help them actually make quality decisions.
Yeah.
Creative emails. What's your formula?
So if I'm doing an email out, and like I said, I've got 5,000 contacts, right? But depending on what I'm selling, there's really only a few hundred at any given time that I'll contact. And emails are really good if you do them well. And in the past, I've just grabbed 100 people and say, hey, let's catch up for coffee. How does next Wednesday sound? Which is hilarious, because if you send out 100, 50 people will ignore it. 20 people will say no thanks, and then you get 30 people that go, hey. So you got 30 people who are wanting coffee on the same day. But the cool thing is you say, mate, you missed out. I sent out a couple of emails and you missed out. Can we do next Wednesday or whatever? Can't do that now, right? Can't do that now. Other great, and the other thing I do is I always automate my follow-ups. So a vast majority of the people that you reach out to, if you want a response, won't respond. Even though they want to, you just end up in their inbox in an awkward time. So I always do a follow-up, but you can automate those. There's a piece of software called Reply, and I always send out 2 follow-ups, and that's really good. It's like, I'd like to maybe get on a phone call with you and chat about the market. I'm interested in what you think of the market, and maybe you're interested in what I think of the market. How you place next week for a quick phone call. They'll ignore it. I'll go, probably a good idea, and I'm busy right now. I'll get back to Craig when I'm ready, and I'll give them a time because I don't know what's happening next week. If you give a follow-up the following week and go, hey, just checking on that email, they go, oh yeah, sorry, Craig. How about now? And sometimes the third one, they'll go, all right, you've emailed me 3 times. They don't know that it's automated and I'm not even, they go, gosh, you're persistent, Craig, you work hard, but I'm not, right? I'm using technology. However, it's the same intention. I really want to catch up with you. Other things I've done is blatantly inflammatory.
Can we just push pause here quickly? Tell me about this strategy a little bit more. The email out about a coffee. Is there a new, put it this way, I know because I have people that reach out to me. I've had quite a few coffee chats over Zoom recently.
Yeah.
I'm going to challenge your assumption, and depending on what market you're in and what business you're in, now might be a wonderful time to be reaching out for a coffee over Zoom.
Yeah, it might be. It might be. I've made a personal decision that I'm going to keep my powder dry. I'm going to spend time just really getting my energy levels up, getting a feel, not talking too much, not overplaying it or not over buzzing it. And when they hear from Craig, they'll hear from me when they're ready to act rather than, Now, I might be wrong, and it might be the perfect time. I'm quite happy to concede that, but we know that selling's an energy game, and when I'm ready to go, I won't have wasted my energy at a time that I feel might not generate as much. And you make a good point that people might have more attention now.
I agree on the pieces here that you're using to assess what you do. I think you have to be so mindful of your energy, and you have to be very conscious of what is the mindset or the situation that the people you're reaching out to may be in. The timing is key. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I think that this might be a specific to different markets, and you have to actually apply that same decision making to it. Quickly going back to the email and the automated follow-up, what was the name of the software that you recommend?
Reply.io.
Reply.io. And you're able to basically just structure it and set the setting and boom, away.
Yeah, you write your follow-ups and it just automatically sends those follow-ups. Yeah.
And quickly stepping back to not just the specific wording of that email, but your kind of formula for a reach out type email. What have you learned with that?
So I've done some hilarious ones. I've done some I will say things like, you're not going to like this. And and then I'll go on, and it's quite often not that inflammatory, but it starts off, you're not going to like what I've got to say. I've also said, I've also gone, I bet you a free lunch that I can tell you something you don't know about your business. Yeah. And I bet you a free lunch. And guys go, yeah, I'll take him up on that free lunch. Yeah, thinking even if he tells me something's worthwhile, I'm going to grab his free lunch anyway. And I'm like, if it's a senior leader somewhere, I'll pay for your lunch. I'm quite happy to lose. So I can't lose in that situation, right? I either tell them something they don't know, or I get to take them out for lunch when they probably have a full diary anyway. Yeah, and I've gone, I'll pay for lunch at the Grove, or somewhere that is going to burn you $200. If I'm reaching out to anybody that has C at the beginning of their job title, then I'll take you out for an expensive lunch. I'll take you to the Sky Tower or something like that, right? And so I've done that.
Hey Craig, don't worry, mate. My title is consultant, so I'm looking forward to this.
yeah, but because the other one I've done is my emails are informal and chatty. Even if I'm sending it out to 100 people at a time, I still keep it informal. And it's not uncommon for me to instead of saying hi David, I'll go, hey, David, which is really unprofessional. But boy, you get a lot more because I A/B test this. So I'll take two lists and I'll write two separate emails on each list, and one list will double outperform the other. So it's easy to do. And then you just do, because I'm an analytics guy, right? So I need numbers. I need to measure. And I'll go, hey, and I'll use cheers as a sign off, and I'll go, I've even said what's up, like really dumb stuff. And if people go for it, and the other one that's really good is you put te reo in there, like it just stands out. Some people go, oh God, that's so cheesy, but and it works. So all I'm looking for, and I never pitch in my emails. I've never pitched and I've never closed. I have a call to action. Yeah, I'll have a call to action. I try not to have a call to action in the first one, because anyone that responds to the first one don't need a call to action. They like you anyway. But if they haven't done that, you have a call to action. And a call to action might be, are you free on Wednesday at 10 o'clock? That's a call to action. They've got to say yes or no. Yeah. People send out emails and there's no call to action. It's a bit wishy-washy. Yeah. So, but I won't pitch. I won't pitch at all. I have gone, I've gone and appealed to ego is another good one that works really well. It's like, I'm after some advice. Yeah. Yeah. You're the biggest chief executive in the tourism industry. I've done this before, right? You're the biggest chief executive in the tourism industry, and I value your opinion. And I genuinely do. Like, this is not bullshit. I know they're the biggest. I respect them. So appeal to that. Yeah. I want to launch a new tourism product, and I think it's great. Who am I going to talk to? I'm going to talk to you. And I sent that off to more than one. I sent it off to all the guys that I appreciate, but they don't know that they're not the only one. But
it's the beauty of one to many. But I like that your one to many is not a blast to your 5,000 contacts. It's like who are the 20 here that really this is really targeted to, or here's the 100 that I want to catch up with, and this is the approach to those people.
Yes. Now I can sometimes send out 500 emails. But there's one go-to-market for this 100. There's one go-to-market for this 100 with very different styles and follow-ups. Yeah, it's a mistake. I think it's even a mistake sending out newsletters to all of your email contacts as one group. I think it's a big mistake. Isn't it cool if you can segment your groups up into different areas and write a personal message to each newsletter to them that looks like it's just to them. Like, let's just say you had 100 people that you want to send your newsletter out to, but 20 of them are selling, 20 of them are buying, why not make it look like they go, he knows who I am. Yeah.
And I'm picking, you're not sending big, fancy, graphic, heavy email here.
No links, no graphics. My email signature is cheers, Craig, with my cell phone number. Boom, that's it. So that when you pick it up on your phone, it's 3 lines of text and your signature is 2 lines of text. Like, take away people's pain. We know what it's like when you get these massive, heavy emails on your phone. You just go, oh man, there's probably some gold in there, but look at the state of it on my phone. Yeah. Probably look beautiful on a PC, but it looks horrendous on my phone. So yeah.
Absolute gold, mate. Absolute gold. I think this is something I want to chat to you a little bit more detail and even run past some stuff just for some of the clients that I'm working with. I know that they'll benefit from going into a little bit more detail with this, so I'll be keen to chat to you a bit more about that later. With the other point that you made, and I think this is a huge one, selling is energy. It's not just the time you spend, it's the energy.
Yes.
What have you learned about managing your energy?
As a young salesman, I've always done well, and I have no problem hustling. I kind of enjoy it. I have no problem hustling. And I used to think it was a numbers game. I actually thought it was a numbers game. Yeah, the more people I see, the more people I talk to, the more leads I'll get, and the more leads I'll put into this funnel, this machine, and the machine I'm putting out. It's not that. People buy off people, right? People buy off people. Build quality contacts. And so what I used to do is my phone would run hot. It would just run hot because I would send out thousands of emails and my phone would run hot. And I go, I can't do Friday. What about Thursday? What about Tuesday? What about Wednesday? Yep. And then you'd go, oh, gee, I got that meeting now and I haven't prepared, right? Because you thought it was a numbers game. And then you go to that meeting, half the energy, half the preparation, and you just come across wrong. Yeah. It's not a numbers game, mate. It's not a numbers game because a whole bunch of those people are going to waste your time. So I burnt out a few times. And I've been at the high end of selling and new startups and big sales things. I've moved millions of dollars worth of software licensing and so on. And so, you end up drinking most nights, you end up going for expensive lunches, and, you end up just in this real social thing. And then all of your cohorts, suddenly their marriages are failing and they don't turn off on the weekends and they don't stop selling ever. And, and their personal lives fail, and then they look tired and they look overweight and they're not exercising. It's a really bad look. So no, sales is not a numbers game. Sales is an energy game. And building people buy off people. Just that's why I'm conserving my energy now. This is me personally. You could go and talk to another guy that's more successful than me, and he goes, sales is a numbers game. You get up before everyone else and you sell more. I'm not giving you advice. I'm just saying this is how I work. I've done it plenty of times, and I've learned I want to go to every meeting, and every time I look you in the eye, and every time I reply to your emails or listen to you on the phone, you're getting my undivided energy. And my energy is good, and I'm thinking about you, and I'm thinking about your business. And you get off the phone with me and go, oh, Craig just gave me a gem in their name. He was totally into my problem. And I feel like sometimes when you play a numbers game, you miss it. You miss it, And I probably missed a lot of deals because I just wasn't on. Yeah, I had a hangover and I turned up and I got 5 meetings that day. I probably should have had 2, and I haven't prepared for this one. And I probably just a bit disheveled, ironing my shirt that morning was a bit rough, and I turned up 3 minutes late, which is nothing, but why wouldn't you be on time? All that stuff. And that's how you can burn yourself out. And I watched a lot of my colleagues burn, and go down hard, lose their marriages, lose their families, just lose their health, lose their state of mind, and it takes them a couple of years to build back. I'm sure it happens in real estate. Yeah.
I think this is a wonderful message that you're sharing, because the wisdom and the experience that you're just bringing to the table right now, I know for some people, this is the message you need to hear. And it's actually listening to not just your body, but yourself, and be quite true to that, and finding a centered place. Because if you're freaking out and just expending huge amounts of energy because you're trying to make something happen, that is not the way to go about it. Actually becoming a little more deliberate and actually doing more with less is a beautiful concept.
Yeah, and what I was worried about was burning my contacts by reaching out to them too early, reaching out to them at a time when they're stressing the most, and they're in their house and their family's stressing, and I'm reaching out to them, and they kind of know that I'm really pitching for business, even though I'm not even pitching, but it feels like it. And I just worry about burning them. So when I come back and try and do it again in a couple of months, they're like, there's a little bit of a bad tinge about me because I sort of reached out at the wrong time. I might be wrong, but I think I'd rather just be a bit more respectful personally. And how often do we get this? How often do we get a situation where we can just stop selling and just accept where life is and know that our competition is not going to be making hay while we're off on holiday, right? You don't get that many breaks. Just take a breath. The one time ever in my history is my competition and not eating my lunch, right? That just, like it's not dog eat dog out there at the moment because all the dogs are in their cages. Yeah. So I don't know. That's my thinking. And you might go listen to another podcast and go, no one's out there. You should be out there. You've probably undivided attention. Might be right. I might be wrong, but
I think there's good there's important things you can take out of either message. But I think that you have to be really conscious of yourself. And I think everyone knows in their heart of hearts whether they truly need a little bit of a break and this is a godsend, or whether they haven't been doing much anyway and now they're just procrastinating. And if you're feeling guilty that you're not doing something, that's not the place to be.
No.
But if you're feeling grateful for the opportunity, that's wonderful. Don't worry about it. And by the way, listening to you and speaking with you today, it's clear to me, it's not that you're not doing anything. Thinking and getting clear on things is the most valuable work you can do.
Yeah. Every day I'm working on who's my market. I've segmented all of my contacts. I've written emails and messages. I just haven't been reaching out. I've been building my brand, I'm going to film a bunch of really good content. I'm not going to release it right now. I'm actually going to release re-release some of my old content this week, and I'm going to have my new content next week, and just raise my profile and get out there. And then, and so no, I haven't been resting, but I ain't cold calling. I ain't even warm calling. I'm not even hot calling, all right? Yeah.
The key part with you there is that this is from an energy management piece and a desire to be respectful with your contacts and burn people. So,
and maybe you're not burning people, and maybe they would love to have a chat with you, and really break the monotony. I don't know, but personally, I've had a few people reach out to try and sell to me, and I haven't liked it, and I thought, oof. I wonder if I should think about that myself, right?
Well, I hope you don't mind that I reached out to you, and I've thoroughly enjoyed this chat with you, Craig. I think you're a refreshing thinker. You've got a couple of grey hairs, not many, but really doesn't even indicate the wisdom and the experience that you've been able to share today. So very grateful. Thank you. Mate, here's to a fantastic year ahead for you. I can't wait to see how you continue to do this. I'll definitely be checking in on the podcast and the other videos that you alluded to. Catch you soon, my friend.
Cheers. And I can't wait till we can have a coffee.
Yeah, not too long, hopefully.
Yeah.
Who?
I don't know. Yeah.
Good stuff, mate. Catch you soon.
Okay, see ya.
Are you there?